Hi guys, welcome to Dubs Only Sports. This is episode 21. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, or social medias at Dubs Only Sports. And then the full episodes, like the one you're watching right now, is going to be on YouTube or Spotify. So make sure to go check those out. We just dished out a whole bunch of episodes over this last week, so make sure to go watch those. Yeah, it is episode 21 and a drop top bends like it's 03, 21. Yeah, so the reverse jinx, baby. The reverse jinx. Some people were onto it. But I kept my composure. We got the reverse jinx done. Eagles took that dub to the grave. Now we got the Chiefs. Not even a doubt in my mind. It's Eagles all day, baby. Without a doubt. Without a doubt. Okay. But first, let's get into these championship games. We had Eagles 49ers. We had Chiefs. What's that other team? Oh, the Bengals. Yeah. We had Chiefs Bengals. Let's just set the record straight. You and I, we were both wrong on both games. Well, you kind of had the Chiefs. Like you wanted.
Chiefs. What are you talking about? I 100% had the Chiefs, bro.
You wanted the Chiefs to win, but you thought the Bengals were going to win. To be fair.
I never. No. That is not true. That is not true. I said 100% sure that the Chiefs were gonna win, but that I was concerned about Mahomes' injury. I said that the Chiefs were gonna win.
Okay,
I didn't say that the
enough.
Bengals were gonna. I just said I was concerned about Mahomes' injury.
I was wrong on both occasions. 49ers lost, Bengals lost, but it's the reverse jinx. It's the reverse psychology. We put it into the atmosphere. Yeah, it was not 20-7. It was 31-7. So yeah. So you want to do NFC first, or do you want to do AFC first?
Really NFC. Let's just get straight into it, right? Into the.
All right.
Oh God.
I mean, let's be real here, right? You and I, we both had the 49ers winning the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
Like, and this was back in December, right? We're now in February, basically, right? Yeah. Super Bowl time, right? We both had the 49ers winning the Super Bowl just because, you know, they had won, what was it, like 9 straight games. They, you know, like Brock Purdy basically, like, you know, took over the role of being QB1 and, you know, displayed his talent every single game, every single snap. All around, just good performance from Brock Purdy and from the team. And we both liked what we saw. But, you know, they were the underdogs. They were always the underdogs. And I feel like that is something that we just got caught up on a little too much because the underdogs are not always going to win. They were good, to be fair. But
Stop it. You're talking a lot right now because you're an Eagles fan.
No.
You're a little hyped up right now. You're no. You're a little hyped up right now. But let's just set the record straight. If you guys didn't watch the game, I know most of you probably watched the game, but if you guys did not watch the game, let's just lay it out. So this game is in Philadelphia. Started off. Philly is favored, as they should be.
Whoa. We're missing details. They put a 49er shirt on the Rocky statue. When has that ever gone good for anyone? When?
I don't know. Yeah,
that's when it started. That's when the game started.
Both teams have learned to stop taunting the other team because it hasn't worked. But we'll get into that later. To start it off, the game starts, and within 5 minutes, Brock Purdy gets sacked, fumbles the ball, and his elbow gets cocked back, and he's basically out the rest of the game. He comes back in later in the game, but he literally can't throw the ball, so he just hands the ball off. And it comes out today that he tore his UCL. He's going to be out for 6 months. So to all the reporters out there that are like, oh, why is it Brock Purdy in the game? Why isn't he trying to suck it up? Why isn't he like Mahomes? He tore his UCL, okay? You can't throw a ball with a torn UCL. Pitchers are out for 2 years with that injury. Like, stop it. If you guys haven't played sports, I don't want to hear anything from you guys. Damn. I don't want to hear it.
Apparently, we don't play sports. We don't play sports.
Apparently, we don't know what sports are, but it's fine. And then getting into it, then they have Josh Johnson come in, who's the 4th string quarterback. Trey Lance got injured in the second game of the year. Jimmy G got injured in like week 10-ish. Then Brock Purdy got hurt yesterday. Then their 4th stringer, Josh Johnson, comes in, looks absolutely terrible, can't move the ball at all. He is a 4th stringer for a reason. And then he gets a concussion. I felt so bad for him. He gets a concussion. He's out for the game. And then Christian McCaffrey, one of the best running backs in the NFL, was basically the next quarterback in line for the San Francisco 49ers. And at that point, you knew. I mean, after the Brock Purdy injury, you knew the game was over. But after the Josh Johnson injury, you know this game was a wrap. It was a tie game. It was 7-7. It was a tie game. It was very close. But when Josh Johnson got hurt, this game was over. And it just was so unfortunate because then from the rest of the game, Brock Purdy came back in and he didn't do anything. He just handed the ball off to McCaffrey, handed off to Deebo Samuel. They do some trick plays, and he threw the ball like one time, and it was like a little 5-yard pass. He couldn't throw the ball. I wish they just had McCaffrey or Deebo throw the ball, just like whatever. At that point,
Why
when you
not?
have to lose, you have nothing to lose at that point. You're probably gonna lose the game anyway. You might as well try it. But it was just a very unfortunate situation because I genuinely deep down, no bias, think that if Brock Purdy was healthy, this would have been a good game. And the fact that Brock Purdy got hurt that quickly into the game, it's so unfortunate because when Brock Purdy got hurt, they had absolutely zero shot in the game because Josh Johnson could not move the ball. He had no pocket presence. He was scrambling out of the pocket. He was fumbling the ball. He was making mistake after mistake. He couldn't locate a wide receiver. He's a fourth-string quarterback. You need a quarterback in this league to win games, especially against the best defense the second best defense in the NFL in their home stadium. You need to be able to play well, and it didn't work out for them. The 49ers defense did as much as they could, but by the end of the game, they were exhausted, frustrated, and they kind of gave up and they just made some stupid boneheaded penalties. And then the offensive side of the ball, they tried, bro. They were running to run on first down, run on second down, run on third down, run on fourth down. It just didn't work because when another team knows that you can't throw the ball, you're going to get stopped, especially with one of the best defensive lines and linebacker crews in the country in the Eagles. But
yeah,
it was just an unfortunate situation. I don't even want to hear anything from Eagles fans right now about how much you accomplished this year. You made it to the Super Bowl with the best roster in the NFL. Good job. You were supposed to do this, especially after all these injuries. There's not one game this year that you won that you were not supposed to win. I mean, name one. Can you find one game this year that you were supposed to win that you did not win? And is there any game that you were not supposed to win that you did win? No. You had
Vikings
the
at the beginning of the year. The Vikings when nobody knew who the Vikings
That
were.
That was at home. I don't hear anything. The Vikings are trash. We don't even need to get into the Vikings, but the Eagles have had an amazing season. They're the best roster in the NFL by such a significant margin. It's absolutely ridiculous, but it's crazy. The 49ers are a close second, but you saw they don't have a quarterback, so that's pretty bad. But the Eagles have the best roster in the NFL. They're an amazing team, but I don't think that Eagles fans should be as excited. I mean, they should be excited because they're going to the Super Bowl. That's a great accomplishment, but to be this hyped over beating a sorry Giants team that shouldn't even have made the playoffs and the 49ers with Christian McCaffrey at quarterback, I think that they should tone it down a little bit, understand that they've been dealt a very good hand this year, and I respect the hell out of Jalen Hurts. I absolutely love his story. Massive respect for that guy. That guy perseveres, never quits, perfect leader, absolute stud. But to all these Philly fans, they're like, oh, we were underdogs and we came back and we made it to the Super Bowl again. Like, dude, you had the best team in the NFC the whole year. I don't want to hear any of this like underdog crap.
And
like,
the Eagles were getting so much hype like before this. I didn't get it, but like the Eagles were getting so much hype before the season started.
The best, you have Hall of Famers at every single position. It's just like Hall of Fame Central. Like,
that's how we roll. And before, like, and this is just to point something out, the Eagles have 2 first-round picks.
Shut up.
Not even the Rams have a first-round pick, and they won 4 games this year.
Oh, God. I mean, the Rams did win the Super Bowl last year, but yeah, it's the Eagles are a joke.
Matter.
I mean, the Eagles, like, if you would just go through their roster, it's ridiculous. They have They have Jason Kelce at center, Hall of Fame center. Lane Johnson at left tackle, Hall of Famer. Jalen Hurts is an up-and-coming, really solid QB.
Up-and-coming?
He's up-and-coming, dude. I don't want to hear
He damn near went up and came. What do you mean up-and-coming?
No, he's up-and-coming, dude.
He's there.
That Philly team could win with a lot of quarterbacks. And just
Nick Foles.
And then you look at the defense. They have studs all across the defensive line. I mean, they already had like Fletcher Cox and Brandon Graham, and then they add Sue. And they added another guy,
Robert Quinn.
Robert Quinn, dude. They just add guys constantly. They're absolutely insane. It makes absolutely no sense. Then on the backside, they have C.J. Gardner-Johnson and
Slay, big play Slay. Oh my God.
Slay. And then it's just talent everywhere. And it's like actually
AJ Brown
when you watch
AJ
Brown, Devontae Smith. I mean, Dallas Goedert. I mean, it's like an all-pro team. You basically have an all-pro roster.
Boston Scott, Miles Sanders, Kenneth Gainwell. Pretty stacked.
It's just a stacked roster. And it was a good win for them. They were supposed to win that game considering the circumstances,
Yes.
but it's so disappointing as a football fan. Even if the Eagles won this game, that would have been perfectly fine. But for this game to be so non-competitive because of the quarterback situation, it was just kind of sad to see. But I feel like even Philly fans, I mean, Philly fans, of course, are happy that they won, but it would have been better. They would have felt like they actually deserved it more if they actually had to play
Yeah.
true competition and an actual opponent, not just a misposition play. Like it was just a bad situation. But moving on to the next game,
Whoa, whoa, whoa,
you
whoa.
want to stay with this game? Stay with this game. It
Yes.
was okay. Go ahead.
Whoa.
Go ahead.
Whoa. Okay. Damn. My team. Hello. Whoa. Let me get some things set across the board here. All right. So, yes, I do. I am not proud in the way we won yesterday's game because ultimately we did not win that game. The 49ers literally just beat themselves up the entire game, and we just took advantage of that. And that's what we've been doing to a lot of teams this year. And it is what it is. But yeah, like going into it, I'm like, okay, this is the game. The Eagles are going to prove that they are a 14-win team. They deserve to be here against a good 49ers team. And,
Pick the 49ers to win the game.
I did. And here, I'm gonna do something that 49ers fans and the 49ers franchise will never, ever be able to do, right? Watch this. You ready? I was wrong. And I apologize for that. I made the wrong decision. And at the time, I didn't think of it. I didn't think it was a bad decision. And now reflecting on it, I realized that I had made a bad decision. And if I could go back and reverse that decision, I would. I wholeheartedly would. You know who should be saying that right now? You know who should be saying that right now?
Who should be saying that?
Shanahan, Trent Williams, the entire 49ers fan base, and anyone who works in the higher offices in San Francisco. What? Okay. We all know the Trent Williams situation. He damn near got his WWE mindset coming in and just turned it into a SmackDown for absolutely no reason. Yes, I understand that it is a championship game. You are losing by 3 scores, which is brutal. And there is no end in sight for the beatdown. And I understand you're going to be a little annoyed by that. Tensions are going to get pretty high. That is no reason for you to literally pick up a player and then throw him to the ground. For starters, not only that, who was the guy on the 49ers defense that was just like trying to punch the ball out of Kenneth Gainwell's hand?
Greenlock,
trying
yes. To punch the ball constantly.
He threw like 4 punches into Gainwell's
after
hands.
The ref blew the whistle. Yeah.
Yes, yes. I understand desperate times call for desperate measures. Yes, that is understandable. Yeah. But when you punch the ball the first time, because the whistle hadn't blown yet, he punched the ball the first time and then the whistle blew. The fact that he continuously tried punching the ball out when it clearly wasn't coming out.
He was frustrated. They were all frustrated.
Dude, it does not matter. You are down.
Know. I don't know.
They should have known in the first quarter that they were losing that game as soon as Brock Purdy was injured. As soon as they saw Josh Johnson coming into the game. If I was on the 49ers team, special teams, offense, defense, it doesn't matter. If I was on the 49ers team and I saw Josh Johnson, our 4th string quarterback, coming into the game, I'd be like, okay, accept defeat, white flag, is what it is. Eagles are going to go and play
but they still
a heartfelt game as they should. Fine. Yes, I understand you can be frustrated, but there's a difference between frustrated and letting those frustrated emotions out. And that is these guys are getting paid millions of dollars every single year. And this is just to play the game. They are role models to millions of kids around the world, role models to millions of people around the world as well. The fact that the 49ers did what they did and such a respectable and committed fan base, the fact that everyone watched that and it happened and for no one to say anything about it, that does not sit. at all. And that should not be, that just shouldn't be the case. And I feel like a guy like Trent Williams, and like for the Kenneth Gainwell situation, when he's literally holding onto the ball and he's just getting basically socked through the like penetration of the ball because he's frustrated. Oh my God, I'm so sorry you're losing the game by 3 scores, right? Like it's just like that kind of stuff. That is fines. That is suspension. Like, to be fair, I do not want to see Trent Williams playing a game until week 4, without a doubt in my mind, because that stuff just is not on. That stuff is just not on.
And
I'm not saying that because it's like, oh, it's my team.
No,
like,
I know,
it's happening
I know,
against
I
my
know.
team. It's like, dude, like, regardless, if I saw that anywhere, that's like, bro, like, to physically pick up a guy who's basically half your size and to just throw him to the ground, dude could have snapped his neck easily. He fell so awkwardly to the ground.
Whoa.
No. I'm tired. I am so sick and tired. I am so sick and tired
happened
of
one
this.
time. What do you mean you're so sick and tired? It's happened one time.
No. I understand like that situation, like it happened the one time, but I'm so sick and tired of like these big burly guys getting frustrated, picking on guys half their size and just deciding to shove them. Or we saw it in the Bengals Chiefs game, not as much, but at the end of the game, Patrick Mahomes is already like 3 steps out of bounds and he's getting pushed. It's like, dude, control yourself.
We'll get into this later, but okay, but let's just go back. I agree in the sense that Trent Williams and Greenlaw, they were frustrated. They made some stupid decisions. They should get fined. They should get punished a little bit. I don't know about suspension, but they definitely should get fined.
They should get suspended too.
Solid amount. They should get fines. But yeah, it just they obviously lost their composure. It was just a mess because you saw Jimmy G and Trey Lance like smiling and laughing on the sideline.
Exactly.
You saw George Kittle like pissed off out of his mind because they were losing the game. You saw Christian McCaffrey pissed off. And it was a bad situation because there's nothing that the 49ers could do about the situation. And it was basically inevitable. Once Purdy got injured, it was inevitable that they were going to lose the game. But yeah, I agree. They didn't treat not all the players in the 49ers treated the situation well. They should get punished a little bit. But I just feel like you're going a little too far, like you're saying how bad it was. It was not good. He pushed him and they did some stuff, but it wasn't as bad as you're making it out to be. Like he punched the ball, but it was not that bad. They were just it wasn't good, but they should definitely get fines 100%.
Yes, like yes, I understand that like watching it, I wasn't like, watching it, I don't have the reaction that I have now. Like that, like the reaction that I have now is based off of the timeline from now and from when it happened. When I saw it live on TV and I saw a defender get thrown to the ground by a guy that's literally twice his size, I was like, okay, like, yes, you're frustrated, but come on, dude, like, come on. But my problem with it is the reactions from everyone in the 49ers ranch, and specifically Coach Shanahan, because in his press conference, Shanahan, when asked about the Trent Williams thing, went to, oh, I didn't see it happen. Obviously, our guys are frustrated. So can you really blame him? And then they didn't ask Christian McCaffrey about it, obviously. They didn't ask Brock Purdy about it, obviously. They didn't ask Brandon Ayuk, obviously. They didn't ask Nick Bosa, obviously. They didn't ask Deebo Samuel, obviously. They're not going to ask, the players that haven't, they're just going to ask them about how they felt about the game and all that kind of crap, right? But George Kittle wasn't asked about it. And don't get me wrong, lots of people love George Kittle and the vibes that like George Kittle brings to the football field every week. The fact that he wasn't even asked the question, but brought it up himself and was like, yes, some fights were started, but from what I saw from the fights, that's what I like to see. That's how I like my guys to go. And it's like, oh, so you approve of your players throwing other players to the ground, because that's what he said. That's what he said.
God. That is
what was said.
You are going to the Super Bowl, and I don't hear all this complaining. You're complaining a lot. You're talking a lot. He was just saying that he wants his team to show some fight and show some grit, not just lay down and just give up. I agree with you. It was a bad situation. The game was over. They should have just ended the game at halftime because it was a wrap at that point.
Should have ended that first quarter when it was 7-0. Everyone knew.
It was bad. But now let's move on to the other game, the better game, the Chiefs-Bengals game, the game that everyone anticipated. All the Chiefs fans, all the Bengals fans wanted to go to and watch this game because of all the pregame anticipation and all the trash talk from the Bengals. The Bengals were going crazy. The cornerback Hilton was saying that Arrowhead is Burrowhead Stadium because Burrow was 3-0 against Mahomes, even though two of those games were not even played in Arrowhead. So I don't know what he's saying. And then we got Eli Apple talking tons of trash for being one of the most mid cornerbacks in the NFL, talking mad crap after getting absolutely torched in all his games. But okay, fine, you could talk.
Yeah.
Then you got the Cincinnati mayor coming out, calling out Patrick Mahomes and saying that it's Burrowhead. And it's like all this crazy pregame stuff. And going into this game, everyone's like, Joe Burrow is the best quarterback in the NFL. We don't know about Mahomes because of the injury. But even with the injury, there's like Dan Orlovsky was saying that Joe Burrow is the best quarterback in the NFL, but Mahomes is the best player. I don't know what anyone knows what that means. I don't think anyone
I was like,
that was a dumb take, but fine. Go ahead, spew your talk, whatever. No one cares. Let's just get into the game. The Chiefs come out to an early lead. It's like 13-3. The Bengals close it down in halftime, 13-6. They tie it 13-13. Then the Chiefs take a 20-13 lead. Then the Bengals come back and tie the game 20-20. Some crazy plays. Jamar Chase and T. Higgins making some huge downfield catches during this game. Chris Jones in the Kansas City defensive line was sacking Joe Burrow the whole game, creating tons of pressure. And then it was like midway, and I think it was the third or fourth quarter. Mahomes just loses his footing. The ball flies out, fumbles the ball. Bengals get it. And I was nervous at that point. I'm like, oh, the Bengals, I wanted the Chiefs to win, but I was like, dude, like, damn it. Like, Mahomes made a mistake. And like, he was playing so well the whole game. He just made that one mistake and it didn't look too good. But then a lot of 3-and-outs, a lot of defensive stops. It was a pretty big defensive game. Both defenses played pretty well. But then at the end of the game, Joe Burrow or the Chiefs had the ball, but then they had to punt because they were out of field goal range. They gave it to Burrow. Burrow converts a 3rd and 17. They have the ball. They have a 3rd and 8. Everyone's like, oh, Burrow's going to lead them down the field. It's under 2 minutes left. He's going to lead them to a game-winning field goal again. Mahomes' legacy is going to get hurt. Burrow's going to be the best quarterback in football, blah, 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 blah. The Chiefs get a stop. Mahomes gets the ball back. One of the biggest plays that wasn't talked about was that when the Bengals punted it to the Chiefs with 40 seconds left, the punt return was like a 30-yard punt return that got them to midfield.
Precisely.
And then Mahomes throws like a short pass, and then on 3rd and 4, he runs out of the pocket, gets a 10-yard run out of bounds, puts them at like the 45-yard line. But as he's going out of bounds, the Bengals defender pushes him out of bounds, gets a late hit penalty, 15 yards, makes it puts them in field goal range with 8 seconds left. They knock in a 45-yard field goal, and the Chiefs are heading to the Super Bowl. And the thing that pissed me off the most out of this whole game was that these damn NFL fans have no idea what they're talking about. They have no clue what they're talking about. The amount of tweets I saw complaining about the referees, the amount of people I saw complaining about the referees
in both games,
absolute joke. In both games was an absolute joke. Okay, I don't know if you guys saw, but if you guys watched Joe Burrow's interview after the game, Zach Taylor's interview after the game, even the defender Osai after the game, they did not complain about the referees one time. They didn't make excuses. They didn't say any of that crap. You know why they didn't complain about the referees and make excuses? Because they're winners. They win games and they know how to win games, and they take accountability when they don't perform up to their standards, okay? And instead of blaming the referees like all you guys at home are, all you bums that are complaining about the referees impacting the game, they actually take accountability for their actions, and they understand that they didn't perform well enough to win that game. And even if none of these penalties happened, the Chiefs played a better game than the Bengals. Patrick Mahomes was better than Joe Burrow. The Chiefs defense was better than the Bengals defense. They were better all around. I don't want to hear all this complaining about the referees. Let's just go through the plays that you guys are all complaining about. All these NFL fans are complaining about all these plays that were called terribly. Let's just go through them. So the first play that everyone's talking about is the 3rd and 9 where the Chiefs got to repeat the down, right? And that was the referee's blunder. Totally agree. The referee made a mistake. But you know what happened? The Chiefs did not convert, and they punted the ball from the same spot. So it had absolutely zero impact on the game. They didn't convert the 3rd down. It's not like they scored on that drive. They punted the ball right back to the Bengals. It had no impact on the game. Now let's look at the next one.
Wait. For that one, the refs
go
didn't even mess that up. Like, because the ref was running in. He just didn't want to get
just a miscommunication.
Absolutely plowed over by a receiver. You know, like
miscommunication
human
between
instinct.
the refs. Exactly. Yeah. It was a miscommunication within the referees. And it was the right call. It's just that it was not what the fans wanted because it was a late call. Yeah. And the Chiefs didn't convert. So they're like, oh, why are you calling it now? I understand. But still, they didn't even convert. So it had no impact on the game whatsoever. Then we move on to later the game. Joe Burrow has the ball on 3rd and 18 or 2nd and 18. He gets hit after the ball, barely touched. They don't give a late hit penalty. The worst part about all this, all you guys complaining, he completed a 3rd and 17 and they got the first down. So it had no impact on the game at all. Again, they get the first down. He got stopped later on. I don't want to hear all the complaining. Then instead of taking accountability for punting the ball right to Sky Moore and giving up a 30-yard punt return to put them in field goal range, not field goal range, but close to field goal range. No one's saying, oh, the Bengals didn't do well in the punt coverage. They're like, no, it's the referee's fault. Instead of taking accountability for not covering the punt return and giving up a 30-yard punt return so that they set up Mahomes at the 50-yard line, they're whining that Patrick Mahomes, who has a high ankle sprain, which usually keeps quarterbacks out for 3 to 4 weeks, he comes back after a week, tapes it up, limping the whole game. He gets on a 3rd and 4. He runs out of the pocket, runs out of bounds, takes 1 step out of bounds, takes a 2nd step out of bounds, and then gets pushed into the bench by Osai. Osai knew he made a mistake. Osai got hurt on the play and knew he made a mistake. He acknowledged the mistake. And for all you guys to say, oh, you can't call a late hit late in the game. Why not? It's the same if it's in the 2nd minute or the first or the last minute of the game.
Yeah.
It's a penalty and you have to call the play. It's like saying, oh, you can't call PI at the end of the game. Yeah, you can. If it's a penalty, it's a penalty.
It's like saying there can't be any penalties in the last 2 minutes of the game.
It's like in the last 2 minutes of the game, it can't be a penalty.
Bro, that's what matters more than anything. The referees.
The Bengals fans and all these NFL fans are acting like this was just
49ers fans and Bengals fans.
The Rams Saints, when Roby Coleman just absolutely got clobbered the Saints wide receiver, they're acting like that's what happened. That actually impacted that game. The Saints would have went to the Super Bowl to face the Patriots. This game was not determined by the referees. The Chiefs were a better team. They have a better quarterback. They have a better coach. They had a better defense today, and they deserve to win that game. And I don't understand why everyone's just going off about the referees. The referees are not perfect. They did make some mistakes, but no one wants to acknowledge that the Chiefs had an interception taken away because of a penalty. No one wants to acknowledge that a touchdown got taken away from the Chiefs because of a penalty. No one wants to acknowledge that the Chiefs got another touchdown taken away from them because the referees did not call pass interference and the ball dropped, but he basically almost caught it, but it dropped because the guy was all over him. No one wants to acknowledge that stuff. They only want to look at the last play of the game because that's the most recent thing. But Joe Burrow had multiple opportunities to score the ball, and he didn't. He threw 2 interceptions, and he had multiple times where the Bengals stopped Mahomes, and he had a chance to take the lead, and he didn't do it. So I don't want to hear all the chirping.
He has no O-line.
And it wasn't his fault, but he just didn't have an O-line. He was getting sacked the whole game. So I don't want to hear all the NFL fans that are whining and complaining and moaning that this game was BS and rigged and all this crap. The Chiefs deserve to win this game. That's why they won this game. And I don't want to hear any more complaints about the referees because they were not good. But you guys are just being totally irrational by blaming the referees for this game. I mean, you guys are genuinely acting like this is as bad as Rams Saints. This is not even close to as bad as that. Not even close. And then if we get started with the Eagles-Niners game, that game, I don't want to hear a peep about the referees in that game.
Yeah,
They made tons of mistakes, but it had absolutely zero impact on the result of the game. They did not do a good job. I totally agree. They were calling tons of penalties on the 49ers. They called the Devontae Smith a catch when it was not a catch. They didn't review that. Okay, fine. They made
Take the touchdown away. What's the score?
The game was over when Brock Purdy got hurt. 49ers fans, it was over when they didn't have a quarterback. I don't want to hear it. If it was a close game, totally understand the complaints. Bring them on. Perfectly fine. It was not a close game. And it would not have been a close game because their 2 quarterbacks got hurt. So all this referee slander in the NFL, all these people whining on social media who have never played sports, even athletes that have played sports, I can't believe how much people are complaining about the referees. Yes, they're not perfect. I totally understand that. But for them to act like these penalties were super egregious and they actually impacted the result of the game is asinine. I mean, the Chiefs and Eagles were the number 1 seeds in their conferences for a reason. They had the 2 top MVP candidates this year. The Eagles have the most complete roster in the NFL by far. The Chiefs have the best quarterback, arguably in the history of football, by far. And I just don't want to hear all this complaining. Like it's way too much whining. The coaches of the teams are not even whining. So why are you whining? It doesn't make any sense. I feel like it's completely BS. I don't know what you have to say about it, but I feel like it's just completely a joke.
It's just, it's just such a blame game, bro. It's literally just like, who can we point the finger at for the reason why? And notice how it's always the losing teams. You'll never see a winning team being the refs were horrible.
No, exactly. That's what I've seen. I've seen on social media, everyone's like saying like, oh, there's never been a losing team that doesn't complain about the refs. And it's complete facts because they always look for a reason. The reason that tons of issues is that people everyone in society, they can't accept when they make a mistake. People need to be accountable. The reason that these athletes are successful, why Patrick Mahomes is successful, why Joe Burrow is successful, is because when they don't play well and they make mistakes, they take accountability. Last year when Mahomes choked that game away, he said, I choked. I didn't play good enough in the second half.
Yeah.
Not, oh, the refs blew it, or oh, my teammates blew it. When Joe Burrow's
That's
asked
a
about why
winning
they lost this
mindset.
game, winning mindset. When Joe Burrow lost the game yesterday, he said, it's my fault. I didn't make the plays. Our team didn't make the plays. We didn't play well enough. And when he was asked about why he gets sacked so much on a podcast, he said, you know what, sacks, I don't read too much into sacks. He didn't want to throw his offensive line under the bus. Even though his offensive line has some issues, he's not going to blame his offensive line. He's saying, if it's third down, I'm going to hold the ball and try to make the best pass. If I get sacked, I get sacked. I'm going to try to win the game. He's not blaming his players. He's not blaming his defense. He's not blaming his offensive line. He takes accountability for his actions. And that's the reason that his teammates love him. His coaches love him. His fan bases love him. They win games and they're successful is because the great quarterbacks and the great athletes and just great people in general, they don't make mistakes. They don't make excuses. They make mistakes and they are able to acknowledge those mistakes.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I feel like
the amount of whining is crazy.
Yeah. And I feel like you look at both the championship games, I feel like there were probably maybe the same amount of penalties called, maybe a little more in the NFC. I feel like there were just a little more penalties just because it seemed like there was a good portion where every play was stopped by a flag. Whereas the AFC championship game was kind of you would have one drive where it was every other play, but then the drives would only last 7 plays because it was literally back and forth between those two teams. But for the NFC championship game, all these fans blaming the refs on dude, the 49ers have been a violent team since the very beginning. It's a San Francisco mindset. I mean, you look at the Raiders, look where the Raiders came from, bro. It's the same mindset. They have historically been very violent, especially in the high moment. You look at the Chiefs 49ers Super Bowl from 2020. Are you kidding me? The amount of penalties in that game?
They're a physical team because they're a hard-nosed physical team and they play hard defense. And the same thing, the Eagles do the same thing. They're physical teams. They have tough defenses. And for the 49ers fans to be whining about them being physical, the reason that they're having good defense is because they're physical. You're going to get penalized for it because the NFL has gotten a lot softer than it was before. But the reason that you guys have a successful defense is that you're hard-nosed and that you're physical. So of course you're going to get some calls against you because you're physical. That's okay. But I just don't understand. You can't be whining when your two quarterbacks get hurt. Even Kittle was saying, I'm pissed off because my two quarterbacks got hurt and I had no chance to win this game. It's not the referee's fault that you guys had 2 injuries. It's no one's fault. It's bad luck. Sometimes stuff happens that you don't want to happen. That's
life. That's not just sports. That's life. You take that shit on the chest.
I know. Yeah. And it's just all these fans just always want to give a reason for something. And sometimes there isn't a reason. Sometimes it's just how it is. You can't do anything about it. So I feel like there's been too much whining. It shows a lot of issues. There's been way too much whining about both games, complaining about the referees, bad luck, this, that. Sometimes stuff happens. It's honestly, for example, if we look at the Bengals defensive lineman that pushed Mahomes out of bounds, Osai, he made a mistake, terrible mistake. I feel terribly for him because it's unfortunate that had to impact the game. But he just like that teammate that came up, BJ Hill came up to him at the interview and stood right next to him and made sure that the reporters were not asking him dumb questions and trying to eat into him. You have to have a good support system, and then he's going to learn how to bounce back. He's going to learn from this experience, and he's never going to have that happen again. He's going to improve as a player, and he's not going to make that mistake again, and he'll just get better. And then when he wins the Super Bowl, it's going to show all the perseverance. It's like Jalen Hurts. You look at Jalen Hurts, and at Alabama, he gets taken out at halftime of the national. He loses his freshman year at the national championship against Clemson on a last-second play. His second year, he's in the national championship versus Georgia, and he's playing terrible in the first half. Tua gets put in, they win the championship, but he was benched. So that's terrible for him. The next year, Tua's the starter. He doesn't play the whole year. And then the SEC championship game, Tua gets hurt. Hurts comes in, leads them to a comeback victory against Georgia, and basically allows Alabama to win the national championship that year. They get to the national championship. He basically puts them in the playoff. And then he transfers to Oklahoma, takes them to the playoff. And then now he gets drafted in the second round. They get rid of Carson Wentz. Hurts becomes the starter, has a decent year last year, not great, makes it to the playoffs. This year, he's arguably one of the top quarterbacks in the NFL and leads his team to the best record in the NFL. I mean, you just got to persevere. And I don't want to, he didn't whine. He didn't complain. He didn't feel sorry for himself. He just continued to fight. And that's why he's successful.
Yep. Especially even their loss, against the Commanders in the middle of the season. after that game and in the press conference, he was like, he literally told the press, he's like, if you want anyone to blame, just blame me for it. Just let my guys don't have to go through that. Like, bro, that
he
is a
wasn't good
teammate.
enough, and he acknowledged it. He's a
Exactly.
leader. He's the leader. He takes
That's
accountability.
that's why I have such a big problem with the whole Trent Williams thing, because no one's taking
Yeah,
accountability for that.
yeah,
Whereas like we have seen, Osai took accountability
yeah.
for the unnecessary roughness, right? He took accountability for that, and a bunch of these other guys that committed so many fouls and so many penalties. Even Joe Burrow, who was basically flawless, had the fact that if he just had an O line, we could have seen so much more. He's not even throwing his guys under the bus like that. He's not like, oh, my O line really screwed it up for me, when the whole damn nation knew that had he had a better O line, say he was playing for the Eagles and he had an O line like that. Jesus, could you imagine the amount of time you would have in the pocket to sling balls to Jamar
Yeah.
Chase,
They
T.
wouldn't lose the
Higgins,
game. They
Tyler
wouldn't lose the
Boyd?
game. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Whereas, like for the whole Trent
If you look
Williams
at the
thing.
Chiefs, The Chiefs had Kadarius Toney got hurt. Juju got hurt.
Yeah.
Another one of their wide receivers, McCole Hardman got hurt. Travis Kelce hurt his back earlier this week.
Yep.
Mahomes had a hurt ankle. Willie Gay got hurt. Snead got hurt. I mean, the amount of injuries that Kansas City had, and for them to win the game. Same thing on the other side. The Bengals had a ton of injuries. Both teams had a ton of injuries. I don't want to hear all the whining. The game happened. That's what sports are. That's how sports work. That's how they are. But that's basically, that was probably one of the most anticipated games. It lived up to the hype, because
absolutely,
when we look at it from this perspective, Mahomes and Burrow is probably going to be like the biggest rivalry going forward, arguably in sports for the next 10 years, because these two quarterbacks are both in the prime of their powers. They're absolutely amazing quarterbacks. They're by far and away the two best quarterbacks in the NFL, and it's not close.
They're close to the same age as well.
They're close to the same age. They both have tons of talent. They both have good teams, and they both have the mindset. They both have that winning mentality. They both want to win. They put in the work. There's no drama, and they're great leaders. So I feel like if we look at this for the next 10, 15 years, I feel like I could easily see them being another 5 AFC championship games, both of them making it to plenty of more Super Bowls. I wouldn't be surprised if the Bengals and Chiefs are the teams that make it to the Super Bowl in the AFC for the next 10, 15 years. I mean, I don't see how teams are going to be better than them. I mean, maybe the Chargers, if they figure out their coaching staff, could make it to a Super Bowl. Maybe if the Broncos figure it out, they can make it to one. But I just don't think and maybe the Jags, if they get Trevor Lawrence to go. But let's be honest with ourselves. Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes are by far better than Justin Herbert, Russell Wilson, Trevor Lawrence, all the quarterbacks in the AFC. They're better than the Jets. They're better than the Dolphins. They're just the best players in football, and you win when you have the best players. So I feel like it's just a great rivalry. I think that it honestly could be one of the biggest rivalries in sports history if these two quarterbacks continue to play the way they do. They've already played each other in the AFC Championship twice. Both have won one. And I mean, Mahomes has been to 3 Super Bowls in 5 years, 5 AFC Championships in his first 5 seasons, all of them at home. He's won a Super Bowl, he's lost a Super Bowl, and now has a chance to win his second Super Bowl. Burrow, on the other hand, has been in the league for basically 2 years. And in those 2 years, he's been to the AFC Championship this year. And then last year, he made it to the Super Bowl and lost on a last-second play to the Rams. So it's just the future's looking bright for both the Bengals and the Chiefs. And I feel like it's great for the NFL to have 2 very solid quarterbacks that are going to be going at it for the next decade.
Yep. I completely agree. I got nothing more for you.
Yeah.
In stone.
And then I got to say this to all these people. We've already got into this about everyone whining about the game, but all these fans that are upset that the Bengals lost, you know who they should blame? They should blame that the greatest quarterback of all time in Patrick Mahomes was playing them. They should blame him because he is that guy at home, at Burrowhead, not Burrowhead, at Arrowhead. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback, arguably of all time. In my opinion, he's the best player in football history. Not even a debate, not even close. I know Tom Brady's won more than him. Everyone knows that. And Tom Brady is one of the greatest athletes of all time, one of the greatest winners of all time. But even if you ask Tom Brady knows that Patrick Mahomes can do things that no other quarterback has ever done. He's he has the Tom Brady IQ with like the Aaron Rodgers and Dan Marino talent, and then the Brett Favre arm, but doesn't make the mistakes and throws less interceptions than anyone. I mean, he's literally the perfect quarterback that you could, if you had Madden and you wanted to create the best quarterback of all time, it's Patrick Mahomes. I mean, this guy is a great leader. He has a great arm. He makes very limited mistakes. He learns from his mistakes. He's a great teammate, and he leads his team well, and he takes accountability for all for all his mistakes, and he doesn't throw any of his teammates under the bus. He brings his team together, and just the talent, oozes talent. He can make off-schedule plays. He can make on-schedule plays. I mean, his team couldn't run the ball at all yesterday. His team had like 30 rushing yards the whole game against a very good Bengals defense, and he still found a way to win that game on one leg, mind you. And to win the game, he ran the ball 10 yards on one leg out of the pocket, scrambled, and ran down the sideline to put them in field goal range. He is the greatest quarterback ever. He's had the best start of a career of any quarterback in NFL history by such a wide margin you can't even compare. He's been to, in his first 5 full seasons in the NFL, he's been to 5 AFC championships. He's won a regular season MVP, a Super Bowl MVP. He'll probably win the MVP this year, maybe not, but probably will win the MVP this year. He's been to 3 Super Bowls. He's won a Super Bowl. He's lost a Super Bowl when his offensive line was absolutely getting dominated by the Buccaneers. If their offensive line was healthy that year, they probably could have won that game. And then this year, they're going back to the Super Bowl. They could win his second Super Bowl in his first 5 seasons. I mean, he's unreal. He is unreal. And I think everyone should be happy that we have a quarterback this good in the NFL. Everyone should be happy that we just get to witness this greatness every single day. And he's an absolute stud. There's not much else to say about it.
Yeah. I mean, does that mean he's your top candidate for MVP now?
Okay, so early in the year, after the Eagles lost 2 games in a row without Jalen Hurts, I said that Jalen Hurts deserves to be the MVP. And I don't know if I disagree with that statement. I think that Mahomes is clearly better than Jalen Hurts, and I think everyone knows that. And without a doubt, Mahomes is by far better than him. But I feel like what Jalen Hurts has done for the Eagles this year in particular, he might deserve to win the MVP just because the way he transformed the team from one year to the next. Yeah. But I still feel like Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL.
Yep.
Arguably the greatest quarterback of all time and the most important player to their team ever. Because this offseason, they lost Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
And lost a few defensive players. And they went farther this year than they did last year. And it's crazy to me that even with the injuries, I mean, he was throwing to like 5th and 6th string wide receivers. You always hear Aaron Rodgers complaining that he doesn't have good enough wide receivers. He took Marquez Valdez-Scantling from the Packers and turned him into one of the best wide receivers, arguably in the playoffs. He looked absolutely like a stud yesterday. And Mahomes just makes it work with whoever he has, whatever receivers are out there. I don't care if you have high schoolers out there, college players out there. He's going to make them look good. And he throws them open. He makes some of the best off-schedule plays ever. So, in my opinion, we could get into this later. I know you might have a different opinion, but in my opinion, Patrick Mahomes is the most important player to their team in the NFL. More important than Jalen is to the Eagles. More important than Burrow is to the Bengals. Patrick Mahomes literally can carry the Kansas City Chiefs on his back to any height, to Super Bowl, to win the Super Bowl, to the AFC Championship every year. Even with all the injuries they had, they still won all these games. And it's so impressive to me that Mahomes was hurt last week and everyone was talking about, oh, he's not going to be good enough. And even we said that if we had to rank the quarterbacks, we put Burrow ahead of Mahomes this week because of the injury, because we were so concerned that Mahomes would be hobbled and wouldn't be able to move. And for him to be able to move the way that he did it, he wasn't moving great, but he tried and he was able to move.
He was there. He played.
Some of the throws that he made were insane. He would take one foot, wrong foot, throw it 20 yards downfield, touchdown. I mean, some of the plays he made were just absolutely incredible. So, yeah, I mean, everyone can say that Jalen Hurts or Joe Burrow or Trevor Lawrence are more important to their team than Patrick Mahomes. But in my opinion, it's Mahomes because he's just better than all of them. And you look at Hurts and the Eagles. Yeah, Hurts is super important to that team. And he's a great leader. He's changed the culture of that team, which is the most important thing. But in my opinion, it's not the same because the roster that he has around him is so much better than the Chiefs roster that they have around Mahomes. I mean, that roster has Pro Bowlers at every single position, whereas the Chiefs don't. And Mahomes is still able to lead them to the Super Bowl. Whereas Jalen, he leads that team to the Super Bowl, but it's more like the team works together. For the Chiefs, it's Mahomes leads the whole team. And for the Eagles, it's the whole team works together to win games.
If Jalen Hurts doesn't win MVP, I am never going to watch another snap of National Football League football ever. Like, and you can take that to the goddamn grave because I swear to God, yes, He's an Eagles fan. Of course he's gonna go for Jalen Hurts. Like, shut up, bro. Okay, shut up. Listen here, right? Patrick Mahomes, what did he do last year? You tell me. You're the stat guy. What did Patrick Mahomes do last year?
That's
No, like where did the Chiefs and Patrick? Because you said Patrick
AFC
Mahomes
Championship.
leads the Chiefs, right? So Chiefs
AFC
last year,
Championship.
AFC Championship. Year before that, what'd they do?
Super Bowl appearance.
Super Bowl appearance. They lost to the Buccaneers, right?
Yeah.
Year before that, what did they do?
Super Bowl win against the 49ers.
Okay, and then the year before that was his
first season, and he lost to the Patriots in the AFC Championship on a controversial penalty against Dee Ford. Yes.
And okay, so basically every year that he has been in the NFL, he has gone at least to the AFC Championship.
Yes, at home
right?
too. All of those games were in Arrowhead.
Okay, and he's gone to the AFC Championship every single year, at least, right? Which is pretty remarkable, right? Fair, right?
Yeah.
How many of those years did he win MVP?
1.
And which year was that?
That was the first year when they lost to the Patriots at home, when he threw 50 touchdowns and 5,000 yards.
Okay, but when they won the Super Bowl, he didn't win MVP.
No, that was Lamar Jackson won the MVP that year.
When they lost the Super Bowl to Tom Brady, didn't win the MVP.
No. Nope.
When he lost in the AFC Championship the first
Bengals,
time.
Nope. Rodgers won it those 2 years. Nope.
Yep. So here we are, right? We're comparing a Patrick Mahomes who has consistently either been in the Super Bowl or at the very least makes it to the AFC Championship, win or lose, right? Has only won MVP once, right?
Yes.
Whereas you compare that blind resume, you compare that to a Jalen Hurts, where this is his first full season as a starting quarterback, right?
Mm-hmm.
He has the most rushing touchdowns for a quarterback in the league, right?
Yeah.
He took a 7-9 Eagles team last year that barely squeaked into the playoffs and got blown out by the Buccaneers, took that team to a 14-3.
He was 14-1. He was 14-1.
14-1. Yeah, you're right. Actually, you're right. 14-1 Super Bowl Philadelphia easy ride team, right?
Yeah. And
just based off of that information, you are telling me that somehow, some way, Patrick Mahomes gets the MVP over Jalen Hurts.
No, I didn't say that. I did not say that. I said that I think that Patrick Mahomes is more important to his team.
Okay, yeah, I'm not. Maybe I'm not saying that you think that that's the case, but I think the league thinks that that's the case.
Well, yes, I think that
because we have seen time and time again that people will get on their hands and knees for Patrick Mahomes. Collinsworth, Tony Romo, dude, they will literally get on their hands and knees to talk about Patrick Mahomes.
For good reason too, because he is that guy. But like, it's a little much. But I think like we have to go over this. This is very similar to LeBron James, because LeBron James is the best player in the NBA every single year, and he has won 4 MVPs. He should probably have 10, maybe 15, because he is the best player and the most valuable player in the NBA almost year round. He took his team to 10 straight finals. He is the best player. Like, it's the same thing with Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes doesn't win the MVP every year because they're trying to give it to other players, because they don't want to give it to Mahomes every year, because they easily could give it to Mahomes every single season because he's just that good. But they don't want to, because they want to give it to players who have played really well and they deserve it for that single particular season. Okay. So if we look at it this year, Jalen Hurts played so much better than everyone expected him to play that everyone wants to put him into the MVP discussion, because no one expected him to be this good, and he had a phenomenal season. Whereas Mahomes, this is what you expect. So it's not as incredible for NFL fans, because they're like, oh, this is what Mahomes should do. Of course, this is the normal. But for Hurts, he played so much better than everyone expected him to that everyone wants to put him at the MVP. And I genuinely think that he has a definite case for the MVP. I think it's between him and Mahomes, and I would not be upset if either one won the MVP. But I just feel like you might, because you're an Eagles fan. But
it's not because I'm an Eagles fan. It's just because it's justified to give Jalen Hurts the MVP. Stands for most valuable player.
I think it's justified to give it to either one of them, because
Patrick Mahomes goes to if they go to the Super Bowl.
Go to the Super Bowl. The reason that they win every year is because if they didn't have him,
But they
They
do
would
that every
be
year.
borderline playoff. Yes,
They do that
because of
every
him.
year.
Because of him.
Okay,
Because
so
of him.
why isn't he winning the MVP every year?
The
Aaron
LeBron
Rodgers,
James. I just explained it. Because they don't want to give it to him every single year. They know he's
it's
the
not
best
about
player.
that. There
It
were
is
years,
what there's
there were
no reason
years
that
with LeBron
there's
James where he
no
was not the MVP. There were
okay,
genuinely years where he was
but
not the
he should have
MVP.
he should have more than four. He
I
should have
mean,
more than four.
the
He should have
four
more
that
than
he does
four.
have are justified. I don't know if
Yes,
he's.
but
I would need to go
he
back and
should.
look at
He should.
LeBron James' holes in time. I don't know if he
Yeah, you
deserves
should.
more than four or less
It's
than
like
four.
Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, both of those years,
Unjustified.
lost in the NFC Championship
Makes no
and
sense.
lost in the wild card round. Mahomes
Aaron
made
Rodgers.
it to a Super Bowl, made it to an AFC Championship, had just as good stats, and didn't win the MVP. Perfectly fine. They like the lack of interceptions on Rodgers' part, all the touchdowns, blah blah. He didn't perform in the playoffs, and Mahomes does. So everyone can say all they want. I think, in my opinion, Mahomes is the most important player to their team in the NFL because he is the Kansas City Chiefs like 90%. He
Yeah.
runs that offense, and they don't have a
Yeah.
great defense. If you look at the Eagles have an amazing defense, amazing offensive line, amazing wide receivers, amazing tight end, amazing running game,
Mhm.
amazing everything. But the reason I wouldn't be upset if Hurts won the MVP this year, not that he's more important than Mahomes, but the reason that I would be okay if he won the MVP this year is because he performed so well relative to his expectations that, and not only that, he changed the culture of the Philadelphia Eagles this season. Whereas
Yeah.
the Chiefs had a culture, so Mahomes had it easier in the sense they already established a culture and he just continued that. For
Yeah.
Hurts to this year completely change the culture in that building
Yes.
along with the head coach Sirianni, for them to just totally change and flip from what they did last year to rebound and do what they did this year. The reason I
Yes.
would be fine if they won the MVP is because he did it this year. He changed everything this year.
Well, yeah, but that's what Patrick Mahomes did his first year.
Yeah, but that was 5 years ago. That's why he won the
Yeah.
MVP that
And then
year.
he won the
He won the MVP.
MVP.
He won the
Yeah.
MVP that year. Yeah.
As a
So
rookie.
exactly. That's what I'm saying. I'm not, I would not be upset if
And that
Jalen
was
Hurts won
you
the
said it
MVP.
yourself.
I
You said it yourself. He threw for like 50 touchdowns.
1,000 yards, 50 touchdowns his rookie year, and
Of
he
course
won
he's
the
gonna win
MVP.
MVP. And
Yeah.
I could go out onto a field and throw for 5,000 yards
Yeah.
and throw for 50 touchdowns, and I would win MVP and not win a
Yeah.
Super Bowl. I
Yeah.
would still win MVP.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts, he's like, I'll give Patrick Mahomes the benefit of the doubt that he is
Mahomes
the
has better
most
stats this year.
consistent player.
He has better stats this year. This year he threw like 5,200 yards, 45 touchdowns. Like Mahomes had better stats this year, but I would be perfectly fine because Hurts had very good stats and he led that team from what they were last year and he completely changed that team.
Like
so I would be
that
okay
year,
with either one.
the year that Mahomes won the MVP, it was literally like there was nothing else really going on other than the stats because all the teams that were in the playoffs that year were literally like supposed to be there. They were the best teams without a doubt. Like it wasn't like it is now where you have like all these like 50-50 teams that are like if it were teams that were like 10 wins and over.
Patriots. Yeah, the Patriots, the Titans,
it was
teams,
powerhouse. But over the years, we've seen a steady decline in a lot of the teams. That's why in this year's playoff, we had like 2 or 3 teams that were like barely above 500.
If you look at this year,
not hitting 500.
Everyone in the playoffs knew that the Super Bowl winner was going to be one of 5 teams. It was going to be the Eagles and 49ers in the NFC, and in the AFC, it was the Bills, Bengals, and Chiefs. And the Bills did not look good, so then it became the 4 AFC and NFC championship contestants, and it just the league was very top heavy this year. But yeah, I wouldn't be that upset. But I mean, you think that Hurts is the most important quarterback to their team? I think Mahomes, but it's not.
I'm talking about like MVP this year. Jalen Hurts is winning the MVP, and if he does not, I'm never watching another. I'm never watching another snap of football ever.
You probably won't because he probably won't win it. Like I don't think he's gonna win.
Bye football, peace out. We'll look at the scores afterwards. Because there's no way.
I don't think he's gonna win it, but I wouldn't be upset if he did win it. But that's basically it for this video. Next video, we're gonna get into Derek Carr, Aaron Rodgers. Where are they gonna land? We'll get into some absolutely insane calls in the NBA against the Los Angeles Lakers, and maybe I don't know what else. What else are we gonna get into? I don't know. We'll get into some other stuff, some other crazy stuff. We'll have some Super Bowl predictions coming out for you because the Super Bowl is in 2 weeks. Some UCL predictions because the Champions League is starting in 2 weeks. We have a ton of content coming out, so that's basically it for us. If you have anything else to say, but see you in the next one.
49ers fans, I hate you and your team. Y'all give up so easily. real talk, they already want Brady. So hey,
They
make
do. They do. They
make
do.
sure to follow us on our social medias, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, at Dubs Only Sports, and then full episodes on Spotify and YouTube. Use the search bar, type of Dubs Only Sports. I got a new haircut. Let me know if you like it because we've been looking pretty busted the recent episodes. So we got a clean cut, you know. So yeah, your typical Cali white boy here going crazy in the paint right now. But that's gonna do it for episode 21. And yeah, we'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.